You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Welcome to the Hella Well with Danielle podcast, your weekly mental vacay for the busy woman of color who's on her healing journey and just may need a little bit of guidance on that journey. I'm your host, Danielle Washington, and it's spring, or it's almost spring. We're springing forward this weekend, which means we lose an hour of time. I don't know about you, but I've been trying to prepare myself. So I've been setting my alarm a little bit early so I know, like, if it's now 4 o'clock, that means it's maybe 5 o'clock. So maybe I need to start waking myself up at 3 o'clock so I can, getting prepared for the time shift now. But in spring, you kind of get this feeling of it's time to start anew. It's about new beginnings. It's about new seasons. It's about refreshing things. And what we also think about is spring cleaning. It's a time to look at our closet and determine, do I really need this outfit? Am I really wearing it? Is it in alignment with the style that I'm going for? I think it's also a great time to take a fresh look at our relationships and seeing if they're in alignment with where you're trying to go or where you are right now. But before we get started, I always love to do a little moment for us to kind of connect into this space, connect into our bodies, and kind of retreat into ourselves by just doing a little bit of breathing exercises. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she was saying like, oh, did you know that oftentimes people breathe incorrectly? And I'm like, yes, I totally know. A lot of times people on their inhale, they're contracting their stomach towards their navel, and their exhale, they're pushing it out, which is actually the wrong way to breathe. And so I wanted to just kind of make sure that we were on the right path when I'm doing these breathing exercises. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to tell people how to go about breathing. So I want you, if you have the time and you're in the space, to take a moment and put one of your hands on your belly. So on the inhale, I want you to push your hand away from your body so you're expanding your belly. Your belly is getting big, as if you had some major meal. And then on the exhale, contract your belly, pushing your hand closer into your spine. So inhale, expanding the belly out. Exhaling, contracting the belly in towards the spine. Inhale, expanding the belly. Exhaling, contracting the belly towards the spine. One more time, expanding the belly out. And exhaling, contracting the belly in. And that is how your breathing should be. So when I'm asking you to do these breathing exercises, you really want to make sure on your inhale, your belly is expanding, and your exhale, your belly is contracting. It may sound awkward from what we might have been taught to breathe or how you may be breathing now, but that really helps you get the most out of your breathing exercises, because as you breathe, remember you're bringing food, that oxygen, to your cells, so your cells can do the work they need to make sure that you're healthy. All right, so that was kind of a little bit of breathing exercise. If you want to pause and kind of practice this, I encourage you to take that moment and just settle in, closing your eyes and just focusing on doing that. Or another thing you can do is to lie down flat, put like a book or something on your belly, and then seeing that move up and down, or intentionally moving it up and down. And that will help you making sure that you're breathing in a proper way. On that note, let's get back into spring cleaning your friendship, but not just your friendships. Spring cleaning your relationships. This could be your relationships with your friends, as we talked about. It could maybe be relationships with your family members or even your partner. I think oftentimes we don't take an inventory look at our relationships in our life. We take inventory looks of our clothing. We take an inventory look of what's in our house. We're like, oh, I need to spring clean the house. Like, oh, I don't use those plates anymore. I don't really like that couch anymore. So it's time to refreshen the house. It's time to refreshen our wardrobe. Well, spring is also a great time to refreshen your relationships and seeing what's in alignment and what's not. Oftentimes when we're doing this healing work, we're changing as people, but we're not recognizing that with that change, some of our relationships might be changing, because you may need to reintroduce yourself to people, and not everyone is going to be cool with that new person that you're becoming. But oftentimes we have these friendships that we've been friends since middle school, and so of course I got to keep them along there. Of course they're friends. I think we often use the word quote unquote friend or friendship so lightly that we throw it out and everyone's a friend. Oh, you get a friendship label, when most of these people are really associates. And those who have been friends and get the name friend because they've got the legacy, time served, they've been with you for so many years, we don't always investigate and take inventory. Is this really a friendship anymore? Like it was back then, like when we were cool, when we were playing hopscotch back in the day, but are we really friends now? Is this someone I really can depend on? Is this someone who I feel like I can go to for different things, or do I even know what's going on in their lives? So I invite you in this moment when you're thinking about spring cleaning your friends. It's not just, okay, let's write a list of who I need to get rid of. I want you to rethink and first take a moment to take inventory. Look at your relationships and see, what do I love about this relationship? And why do I love it? Are you holding on to certain friendships and partnerships out of obligation and loyalty? Or do you really care about that relationship? An exercise that I found helpful for me was looking at just 5 people that come to mind. Just take 5 names that come to mind and start asking yourself some like real deep questions that you may need to know if you're going to look at spring cleaning some of these relationships. Ask yourself, do I shy away from sharing my wins or certain challenges when talking to this person? Are our conversations one-sided? Like, do you feel like when you're talking to this person, they just get on the phone and they're talking about everything about their lives, they're not asking anything about your lives, and then they quickly jump off? Or are you that person who's constantly taking over the conversation and not engaging in finding out about what's going on in that person's life? Because it's not, again, always about the other person who's not really kind of paying attention to how they're showing up in a relationship. I want you to take a moment to also investigate, how are you showing up in the relationship? Ask, do I know about their biggest challenges or what is exciting them the most right now? And in a perfect world, think about hanging out with this person. How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel when I'm hanging out with that person? And then ask yourself, is that the way I am currently feeling? And if it's not, if some of these things came up and you did the inventory and you're like, I don't think this is for me, this is, again, not the time to say, all right, these are all people I need to cut. These people are all toxic. I need to cut. I want to invite you to take the moment to think, it's not an all or nothing in our friendships and our relationships. There's something else, and you can pause the relationships. I feel like back in the day when we were kids, someone did me wrong. Well, someone did me wrong. I'm going to cut them off. It's over. We never thought about pausing relationships. But we pause our clothes when we're spring cleaning, or some clothes we're like, okay, I think this is something I need to get rid of. We make piles. So I invite you to make piles in your relationships. Make a pile of, okay, this is a friend who I love, ride or die. I enjoy. I feel like we connect. It is a mutual relationship. I feel like I am in a situation where I love being around this person. And I feel like I'm also doing my part of being a good friend towards this person. That's one pile. Another pile is this relationship really isn't working. It's out of alignment. And what can I do? Okay. Then you put those relationships into two different piles. One pile is the pause pile, like you do with some of your clothes. I like this outfit. I'm not ready to get rid of it. I'm just going to put it on a higher shelf. And if I decide to wear it later on in the year, then great. But if I don't wear it in a year, maybe it's time to get rid of it. But we pause our outfits. So why can't we pause some of our relationships? I think we just, again, kind of think it's all or nothing. And there's not this all or nothing mentality. Some relationships may need boundaries. And that's all. Maybe you just need more boundaries in the relationship. Doesn't mean you need to cut them off. The toxic, this relationship is ruining your life. Maybe you just need to set clearer boundaries in that relationship. The other part of that is that sometimes people they're oblivious to how they're showing up in relationships. You may be oblivious to how you're showing up in relationships. So think about, are there things that have been unsaid? Are there those things that are taking up space in your relationship that are not working for you and may not be working for the person? For those relationships that are in your life that may be kind of ones you're like, I'm not really sure if this is like still the right situation for me. I'm not sure if this is in alignment for me. Ask yourself, is there anything I can salvage? Again, putting boundaries might be something in that situation. The other part of it is if you feel there is something that you can salvage, I have a conversation. So often we hold on to these feelings of, I don't feel like this person's there for me. I feel like this person doesn't have my back. I feel like they're not celebrating my wins. I feel like when I talk to them, they're so busy focusing on themselves, or they don't have time for me. They can't celebrate me. Or I feel like this ain't right for me because of many different reasons. But we're not expressing that to these people. We're not saying, hey, I feel like there's a disconnect between us. Yet often we stay in silence, and then we go from silence to, we're cutting this person off. I'm making it new life, new year. I'm cutting this person off. So again, in the pause moment, take a moment to see if you can salvage the relationships and have that conversation. Have those hard conversations with the person. Say like, hey, I really value our friendship. I value as a person. But if I'm being honest, I feel like I'm noticing certain things that aren't in alignment with where I'm going right now. And I want to see if we can come to an agreement to where it's working for both of us. You may have something too. So invite that conversation, opposed to going to someone and saying, I think you did this to me. You are hurting me. You did that. You did this. If someone came to you that way, do you think you're going to be open to wanting to salvage a relationship? My guess is probably not. So I don't recommend going that way. So finding a way, looking up online, how do you have these hard conversations with friends? But making sure before you have that conversation, you have the conversation with yourself and asking and looking in the mirror, well, we co-created this relationship. So how did I invite certain things in this relationship? What was my role in how we're showing up? As someone who has constantly identified herself as the strong friend, and as the strong friend, I was always helping other people. What I didn't realize in some of my relationships was when people would ask me like, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Do you, I know you're such and such passed away. You're going through this. Can I support you? Oh, no, I'm good. What I didn't realize I was doing in those situations was I was teaching people that I don't need you. So don't try to help me because I'm good. When internally I was like, well, I'm supposed to be the strong person, so I can't tell everyone that I'm not good. And then I'm getting mad. I'm like, well, why isn't no one here when I need someone? So investigate how you are showing up in the relationship and how that may be affecting someone. Also, the thing that we don't always think about is how we show up in relationships and how we show our care and our love. We use our love languages. And if you don't know about love languages, there's a book about it. There's a bunch of articles about it. Just Google, you will find out there are different love languages that we use to show our affection towards people. But oftentimes when showing our love and our affection towards people, and that includes friends, we use the love language that we resonate with versus using the love language that may resonate with someone else. So your love language might be acts of service, where someone else might be touch or kind words. And if you're showing up a certain way and it's not connecting with the way someone else receives it, they may be taking your gifts as another way versus you're like, well, I'm confused. Why aren't you realizing I'm showing you and how I care? But you're showing them how you care with your love language and not thinking about their love language. So before you have the conversation with yourself first and seeing what's your role in the situation? Because you co-created the current agreement and where you guys are currently right now. And also seeing if there's maybe a disconnect in how you guys are showing how you care for each other, and seeing if, again, there's a way to establish that. But if you feel that, again, you still need to have that conversation, before you have that conversation, I want to say clear as day and make sure you're hearing it all the way back at the back of the church. You cannot force someone to change. I'm going to say it again. You cannot force someone to change. So be prepared to have someone be like, I don't care about you. Kick rocks. They may get defensive. Kick rocks. So be prepared that may be the way the conversation may go. But having the conversation, you guys can have a point to where you're like, I feel like it's time for us to renegotiate our contract, our agreement, our friendship, so it's in alignment for both of us. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, I need something a little bit different. I value you as a person. I'm changing and I recognize that. And this is where I am. And it's okay to honor where you are. If it's time to let go of a relationship, it's okay. If it's time to pause a relationship, that's okay. If it's time to set stronger boundaries, that's okay too. Because also keep in mind, there's some friends and family members that you most likely may not be able to cut out of your life if you even feel like it's a toxic relationship. So if that's the case, you just need to find a way to put them on a higher shelf by creating those boundaries. And that's okay too. Honor where you are. Honor the fact that you want to have friendships that are in alignment with who you are, and not just because, we were cool 20 years ago, so I have to keep you around. There's no, I have to do anything. There's no gun to your head that says, I have to stay loyal to someone who is no longer in alignment with where I am. I hope you get something out of this. I hope that you reimagine what works for you and making sure that you have friends who are in alignment with you. Making sure you have friends who make you light up when you're around them and not make you feel like you need to shut down when you spend time with them. I love you. You are worthy of the most amazing friendships, and I will see you guys next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.